Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talkin Schmoedown. That's right, we're back, and this is a good one. A whole lot of stuff to talk about, man. 5 matches this week, incredible. And this ain't even the biggest week of the month, so I'm real excited to start talking about everything that went down over this past week in the Schmoedown. Now, before I get into the matches that happened, I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happened on backstage this past week. Not the one that happened, I believe, either yesterday or earlier today, but the one from last week. Now, over the last 2 weeks, there's been a certain guest on this show, and this certain guest has let's say, shown his true colors. And I am speaking, of course, about Chandru Dandapani. He is now the Inner Geekdom champion. And you know what? Congratulations, Chandru. You have the championship now. However, just because you have the championship does not mean that you have to be a total dick, because that is exactly what you were on this past episode of Schmoedown backstage, and I don't know if it's just you playing up your character. I don't know if this is really how you are, but no matter what, I don't. It's not a good look to be disrespectful like that, in my opinion. I'm just a viewer, a commentator, as you may. But personally, I think you're going down a bad path, and I hope that it doesn't affect your title reign going down the line. So we'll see how that goes. And I was recently also watching an episode of Late Night with Gucci and Kaiser. It's good stuff. It was actually a really fun episode. Kaiser got plastered by the end of that episode. It was fantastic. Mike was on it, Mike Kalinowski. And Mike talked about his desire for a timeout during normal gameplay. Now, this is something that I brought up on last week's show, because Roca and Bateman on backstage the week before had mentioned this exact same thing. The possibility of having like a 30 to 60 minute or second timeout during regulation gameplay. Now, this is something that has come up in Iron Man matches. The ability to have a quick 30-second break to kind of collect yourself. But I gotta say, I am interested in the idea of this being something that they do going forward in regular matches. Now, maybe obviously this is something that they probably would not put into effect until next year, because rules changes like that mid season. That's not a good look. But I mean, I'd be down for. I'm interested. What do you guys think? Would you be interested in seeing something like a timeout being able to be used in normal gameplay? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I'd really be interested in finding out. You can either right here on YouTube if you're watching this live, or yeah, even if you're watching it later on, or you could head on over to Twitter right there at MovieBlog Merc, and you can use the hashtag Talkin Schmoedown, and just let me know. What are your thoughts on that? I'd really like to know. All right, so now that I got some of that out of the way, I am going to get into this. Oh man, 5 matches. 3 play-in matches for the singles tournament. The Ultimate Schmoedown Singles Tournament has officially begun. And we got our first 3 play-in matches this week. And, woo-wee, I gotta say, this is some good stuff, man. Some not-so-great stuff happened during it, but this was some good stuff. And we also got another awesome Schmoedown Throwdown. This week was the title match between Dan Murrell and Ethan Erwin. So I'm excited to get into that when we get down there. So, all right. So let's start off with this first match. And that was Andres the Ghost Gallego versus Adam the Coyote Collins. The Dungeon versus Corruption yet again. battling each other out to see who will be on top again. And we all saw how that went down. All right, so I gotta say, getting into this match, I didn't. I mean, these are two new. These are two rookies, and didn't really know much about either of them. So like, I had no idea who to root for as far as individuals go. So I was kind of putting my money on Adam Collins just because I was kind of backing corruption, which, hey, is what it is. I mean, I love Kaiser, I love Smets, but I'll be honest, Dungeon hasn't been doing so hot this year. So, I was putting my money where the success has been, whether that's smart or not. Hey, we all saw how it panned out, so I think it worked out pretty well for me. Gallego was not off to a good start here. He missed the first two questions, or he missed his first two questions. He, Now I understand that that doesn't mean that you're buried or anything like that, not by any means. But it's not a good look to have a stumble like that, especially when it all shook out. Adam Collins wound up with a perfect round. You know, got his bonus 9 points right there on his first go, and that's a hell of a thing. It looks like I went dark there for a second. Sorry if I blinked out there for a second. My computer gave me the internet problem, and we'll be talking about internet problems later on. Hopefully that doesn't continue to happen throughout this broadcast. So yeah, the whole thing with Adam Collins is he had this kind of collected demeanor that I really liked. He didn't seem like he let anything get to him, and I dug that about it. So I was really happy to kind of see him kind of take the lead here. Another thing I want to point out, they finally got a laugh track for Mark Ellis's little comedy slice bit that he always does. I thought that was great because you don't anytime that's come up, people haven't been doing it on the virtual. They could. I mean, there are people there. There are competitors that could laugh at it, but it's normally the audience that laughs when he does that bit, and so I thought it was great that they got a laugh track specifically for that. So we get into round number two. Adam spins movie quotes, and respins and lands on movie release dates. Now, movie quotes and movie release dates, I think, are probably the two. I know some people will disagree with this, but I think they're probably the two of the toughest ones, just because of how well with movie quotes it can be. It's so broad, obviously, and it can be very obscure. And with movie release dates, you gotta be pinpoint perfect when it comes to that stuff. It's like I get really close. I get usually within a year on most of these, but that ain't gonna do you anything. That's not gonna get you any points being within a year. So, uh, and as you see with this, he doesn't do great with movie release dates. He gets 5 out of 8 points, goes multiple choice twice, and allows Andres to get a steal, a 1 point steal here. So I mean, it's not great. It's not terrible. It's not like he only got like 2 points, or it's not like he missed three questions, or I get it's not as bad as it could have been, but it's not great. Uh, and I say 2 points, and then we'll see what happens next here. So Andres spins Inner Geekdom, and th- during this, Christian makes a comment that this slice encompasses all Inner Geekdom slices, but that next year all of those slices will be available. And I'm curious as to why he changed his mindset on this. I'm curious if this was like a conversation between a lot of the players, and the fact that it's taking away some key strengths to certain people and turning it into essentially another mixed bag category. And as we see with Andres, he stays. He thought that he would be okay in this. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's a lot of people like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at Inner Geekdom. The problem is it has to go kind of deep because of everything, and you don't know what you're gonna get. You could land, maybe you're hoping for a Marvel or a DC movie, but you get an Indiana Jones, and maybe that's just not your thing. You know what I mean? So who knows? But he didn't do well here. He only got 2 out of 8 points. Went to multiple choice 3 times. Gave up 3 points in steals. I mean, it's just he did not do good here. He missed all 3 of those multiple choice questions, and each and every one of them, Adam stole. Luckily for him, he went to multiple choice. He didn't just jump the gun and try to guess and give up 2 points on all of these. But man, he took a big hit here. Even though, like I said, Adam didn't do great. He only got 5 points. Andres did worse, and he was already down by 3 points, So with this, it takes Andres down by 8 points. Now it's 17-9. Adam is up by 8 points here, and I mean that's tough. You can't. I don't know how many people. I say this a lot because I'm not the stat guy. You know what I mean? That's Frankie Healish over there. I'm not the stat guy. Go ask him how many people who've been down by 8, if any, have ever come back and won a match. I don't know, but I'm sure if there have been, it hasn't been many. So we get into round 3. If Adam misses, so we get into this round, and right off the bat, if Adam misses his 3 or his 5, automatically it's a TKO. It's just the way it is. He needs both of those, no matter what, because he's 8 points down. So he hits his 2, which is technically the one that wasn't as important. Now, yes, all points are important because you don't just want to have a tie, because then you're banking on the other player missing all 3 other questions and going into sudden death. But, however, he does then miss his 3. And here was my question. The question on the screen for his 3-point question included the year 2011. Because it shows you on the screen what the question is, and it shows the year. However, Christian does not say the year, and I'm curious if the question that he read, like on his document or whatever the hell it is, if the year 2011 was included in that. Because if so, I think this may have turned out to be different. Because Andres specifically said Crash from 1994. So if the year 2011 was said, then he would have been like, well, obviously it's not Crash from 1994 because it's a 2011 movie, So it makes me wonder if Christian changed the reading on the question to give less information. And I don't know how I feel about that, if that's the case. You know what I mean? No, I mean, obviously, if I didn't read, like, if the 2011 wasn't in there in the first place, and if it wasn't on the screen, obviously I wouldn't be saying anything. It wouldn't matter because that's the question. But if he's omitting information that's specifically in the question to make it, I guess, less easy for his at his own will, I don't know how I feel about that. So I'm curious what you guys think, if you even caught that. If so, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this was something that was okay to do, or not? Like, I don't know, man. I'm torn about it, and so I'm curious as to what you all think. Now, with this, Adam wins via TKO, like I said, 17-11. Corruption gets 3 points here because of the TKO. They gain that extra point. And they take the number 2 spot, pushing the Finstock Exchange down a slot to number 3 after that. Now, this whole week, it just goes, things bounce around throughout this faction standing. It's kind of wild. But hey, that's the way the game is played. You never know. It's a real close race, and that's kind of what happens. It's a tough loss for Andres. And another tough loss for the dungeon. I mean, it's not a good start to this tournament for the dungeon. I don't. I feel bad for Kaiser, mainly because he's trying and I like him. I think he's great. I just don't think he was strategically smart during the draft. I think he thought he was being strategically smart during the draft, and I just don't think he was. Hopefully next year he'll learn from some of the mistakes that he made here and have a better showing. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, so we get into our second match. The next play-in match is Swag's Frank Bam Bam Moran versus the Den's James the Wizard White. Now, obviously, I was rooting for James White here. I'm a big Den fan. I love Swag. Don't get me wrong. I love Swag. But I don't actually know anything about Frank Moran. I know that he's been in the Schmoedown before a few times, whatever. But like I've had interactions with James online and stuff, so like I felt a little bit more connected there. And I don't know what it was, but I've been rooting for him, since the bracket dropped. So I don't know. Take that as you will, Winston. I'm sorry. I love Swag, but I was rooting for the Den here at this time. So like I said, the Den and Swag, they're both fantastic. Kate and Winston are two of my favorite managers in this league. They're hilarious, bouncing off of one another. It's great entertainment to see them working with each other. Um, and they have done some great stuff, particularly Winston. He has before this match started, he was on I think a 5 win streak with Swag, if I'm not mistaken, either 5 or 6. I believe it was 5. 5 wins in a row. No other team had won their previous 5 matches. It was just Swag, and there's a reason why Swag was number 1 coming into this week. They've been killing it at the end here. So now, unfortunately, this was not a great first round for either player. Really, Frank did pretty decent. James, however, not so much here, and that bummed me out because I was like, man, I was rooting for this guy. 6-4 at the end of round 1. That's like six is okay. That's not elite. You know what I mean? You need at least that 7. Obviously, 8 is where you want to be because that's a perfect round. But or 9 if you get the bonus. But 4 points. He missed half of his questions. James did, and that's tough. That's definitely not where you want to be. And if you think, if he was up against like an Adam Collins, who got a perfect round, that's a 5 point deficit right there. Luckily for him, Frank didn't do as good either, and so it was only a 2 point drop there. So not as big of a deal. So getting around to Frank spins horror and respins to Francis McDormand movies. I would have stayed on horror personally, but that's just me. Especially because like Francis McDormand movies, man, I did not do, I did not do very good on in this category. Not at all. So I definitely would have stuck with horror for me. And Frank does not do good in this category. He misses half his points. He gets 4 out of 8. Goes to multiple choice 3 times. Missed a big one there. Gave up a steal opportunity. Though I will say this, he minimized the possible point loss. Like I said, he went to multiple choice 3 times. He didn't just jump the gun, which is good, and he was able to get 2 of those. But he did give up a 1 point steal. So I mean, it's tough. You have an okay for round 1, but then you tank out round 2. That's not something you want to see here. Now, this one here, we got James spinning comic book movies. Now, here's my question. The previous match, you have Inner Geekdom as a slice. And the whole thing about Inner Geekdom is that all of those categories are in this one. So why in the fuck is comic book movies its own slice all of a sudden? Like, pretty sure comic book movies is inner geekdom. Now, maybe not that specific comic book movies as a slice, but like all of those movies that would be in the comic book movie slice are in the inner geekdom. Whether they're in a specific slice like a DC or an MCU or DCEU or Marvel, or they're in mixed bag, or who said it, or movie release dates. All of those movies are in there somewhere. That's just a fact. So I was really surprised to see that category there, because the inner geekdom players have been kind of complaining a little bit that it's just inner geekdom as a category. But if comic book movies is an option, then just do that. If you're looking for Marvel or DC movies, just pick comic book movies. Now, yes, it's still not as specific as those. But you're not going to get Indiana Jones in there. You're not going to get Harry Potter in there. You're not going to get Lord of the Rings in there. You're going to get comic book movies. Now, you may get a Dark Horse movie in there. You may get like a Hellboy. You may get Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? But it still narrows it down a bit. And I think like if that's an option, then just people need to start going with it. Otherwise, I don't understand why it was an option. So James respun this one. He said he felt comfortable enough with comic book movies, but that there were some better slices. Now, if you feel comfortable, now okay, so I was like, this is what you gotta look at. Your competitor, your opponent, just lost half of his points, and you got a steal. Okay, so you're already up one, which means that there's only a 5-point gap here going in. You know what I mean? And so you don't need a ton. You know what I mean? You just need enough to get yourself back up. 5 points to tie the game. 3 points without giving away any steals to get back to where you were. Now, if you felt comfortable enough with comic book movies, then the safe bet should have been to stay with it. That's fully what I think. Let me know what you guys think. Hop in the comments or hop on over to Twitter. Would you have stuck if you felt comfortable enough with this category? Would you have stuck with it, or would you have taken a chance because there are some better slices? Because there's also some worse slices, as we see here as he respins and lands on Nora Ephron. Again, tough category. You know what I mean? Unless you really know their movies, tough category. And obviously James not as well versed and Nora Ephron as he only got 3 out of 8 points. Missing 2 questions here. Did go to multiple choice twice, but he gave up a 2-point steal at the end. A total of 3 points in steals. So he got 3 points, but then he gave away 3 points. And so it's like, it's essentially it nullified that whole round for him. He was 5 points down going into his spin, and he's still 5 points down because he completely nullified that round. And I think it's because he spun away. I really do. If you think you're comfortable enough, especially when your opponent had a rough round and you're still close, he should have stuck with it. Unfortunately, though, he did not, and that's what happened. And neither of these guys are doing particularly good here. We're in round 2, and it's 13-8. That's not good, man. You got a total possibility of 17 points. Now, Frank's not doing terrible, but that's mainly because he got 3 points in steals. Let's say he didn't get any of those steals. Then he'd have 10 points of his own points out of a possible 17. So, this kind of gameplay won't get you far in this tournament, in this league, really. So this is something they got to really hit the books hard if they want to stay in this league, take it to the next level, and keep on competing. All right, so we get into round number 3. James hits his 2 and his 3, which prevents the TKO. So, I mean, he stepped up his game right here in number 3, and it tied the game. So it's 13-13 at this point. Frank goes on. He hits his 2, which forces James to hit his 5, and he fucking pulls out Catherine O'Hara. I believe this was the Nightmare Before Christmas question. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh shit! I know this. I know it's Catherine something. And I'm sitting there like almost as long as he is, just racking my brain trying to pull O'Hara out of somewhere. And I finally am able to pull it out, and then he finally grabs it, and I was like, yes! I was so fucking pumped to see James hit that question. He had to use all his JTEs, but he got there. He even talked about, he's like I was pretty sure it was Catherine O'Hara, but he was like, I know she played a different character, and it's one of the 3 kids in the movie. It's there's Lock, Shock, and Barrel, and she plays one of them, and I can never remember which one is which. And so I know she plays one of those. She voices one of those characters, while also voicing Sally. And so I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That he had it. He thought it was that, but he was unsure if he was right, because he's like, I know that Catherine O'Hara played this other character, and he's like, but did she? But he's like, I think she also played Sally. But he was like second guessing himself. But I'm glad that he took his time, used all his JTEs, and came out with that guess right at the last minute. Because he wanted to, like, he wasn't sure, and he's like, well, if this is all I can think of, if I'm gonna get it wrong, I'm gonna get it wrong, but I'm not gonna not answer it. So I'm real glad that he did. Frank goes on to miss his 3. All right, so that then forces him to go for his 5, and man, he misses his 5. Oh, it's heartbreaking for people who are rooting for him, but this was a holy shit moment for me, and probably for anybody else who was rooting for James White, because he was down 5 points going into this, and that is not easy. That's almost always a death sentence when it comes to this game. But from a 5-point deficit to a win, dude, what? Like, what? I couldn't, I just couldn't believe what I saw. It was amazing. 18, I think it's 18-15 is what it wound up being. Oh my goodness. 18-15. The Den gets 2 points here. This was the match itself not very good, but it was an incredible finish. I don't know if there's some sort of award for that. Maybe moment. I don't even know. Upset of the year could almost be. It could almost be a nominee for that, just because I don't know. Comeback moment of the year. I don't even like. It was something special. I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you guys thought. So now with this win, James enters the tournament. Just like Adam. Adam will go on, and now so will James be in the main portion of the Ultimate Schmoedown Singles Tournament. And this right here is the first loss for Swag in 6 matches. Like, that had to be a hard one. I mean, I know how invested Winston gets in this. How emotional he can get as well, and I'm sure that this was a tough loss. They've been on this big winning streak, sitting at number 1, and this would have pushed them farther up, away from number 2. But unfortunately, it just wasn't Swag's day. That's just the way it is. They'll have more opportunities coming down the road, though. So, all right. So now we get into the last play-in match for last week. It's not the last play-in match total, but it's the last one for last week. As there will be one more this week. I believe it's actually tomorrow is when the last one is. But this week we had Lady Justice Marisol McKee versus Bonnie the Smoke Show Somerville. We got Corruption again versus the Burning Droogs here. Rookie versus, I guess you could say she's a veteran. She's played 3 matches. However, she's lost all 3 matches. Bonnie is 0-3 coming into this match. Marisol is a rookie. So, I mean, it's almost, you can almost say it's even ground. The difference is Marisol seems to understand the game. Whereas Bonnie, who's been here for, like I said, she's 3 matches over the last 6 years, I think. And she's still, I mean, I understand the game has changed a lot since that first year she was there. But, come on. Like, after that loss against Brett earlier this year, you'd think she would have been studying up, learning the game, watching game tape, making sure you understand how to play, not just being able to answer questions, but understanding how to actually play the game, because that was a big problem that she had during this one. So, I will say this though, she lives up to that nickname, man. Bonnie is smoking hot. I'm just that's all there is. She definitely is the smoke show. Now, something that popped out to me, and I've noticed this a few times with some different competitors. Most of the time, the competitors come out to their factions music, I've noticed. But I'm pretty sure Bonnie came out to her own music, which I was a little confused by, because even bigger players have been coming out. Now, we'll see later on, Dan Murrell comes out to his own. He doesn't come out to like the Finstock Exchange music or anything like that. But I don't know. It seemed weird. It seemed like a weird choice. But hey, I don't make the rules. So that's all, Christian. I don't make the rules. It ain't my league. All right. So I want to know if Shannon and Bonnie's heat is legit. If, is it a shoot? Is it work? Because, man, if it's all a work, bravo, because it was good, man. You could feel it coming through the screen. I felt it's like when your parents are fighting, and you're sitting there in the corner, super uncomfortable, not knowing what to do. It felt like that a little bit, where it just felt real uncomfortable. And like if they were in person, that one of them might have slapped the other in the face. I don't know. And the last thing I want to say before getting into this round is Marisol's confidence and attitude, even before the match starts, was incredible. This is so. I'm sure I'll say this again. This is someone to look out for. Like, really is. All right. So we get into round number 1. And it's obvious right off the bat that Bonnie does not understand how to play this game. It's clear as day that she has no real idea what she's doing. She's just there, answering questions, having a good time, like it was back in the day. But that's not how this game goes anymore. It's just not how it is. And you can tell at points Christian getting real kind of peeved about it, which I'm sure I'll mention later on. Marisol has impeccable handwriting, I noticed. And I made this note: Roca should get tutored by her in handwriting because it's fantastic. And I know that I've been kind of ragging a bit on Bonnie for not understanding the game, but she did do better this game than she has before, and that I in general expected she would. But Marisol killed it the perfect round here. She did miss the bonus, which was about the Greatest Showman, but I think it was I want to say it was a scores and soundtrack kind of, it was like about music. But 8-5 coming out of round one. Hey, that's a damn good start. And like I did not expect Bonnie to get 5 points. Just saying, didn't expect it. We're getting around two. Shannon, such a phenomenal manager. Just the way that she talks to her competitors. She has a game plan. She's able to motivate them. She gets right to business with it. I love Shannon as manager. I was real skeptical when it was announced that she was going to be a manager for the season because she'd hung around, but we hadn't seen anything from her. We had no idea what to expect. But holy shit, the corruption queen over here. My God, she's fantastic. One of my faves. I give it up to Shannon. She's fantastic. All right, so we get into it. Marisol spins 2000s and stays. I was a little shocked there. I was like 2000s. Wow. Okay. Interesting category to stick with. She does okay. Not great. 5 out of 8 here. 2 multiple choice. Does give away a 1 point steal. Bonnie actually got a steal here, man. It was a bit of a rough ending, but she did minimize her losses smartly. We've seen that throughout all of these play-in matches. The players minimizing their point loss because they understand how to play the game. The difference here, we don't see that in the next round or in the next spin, I guess you say. So for Bonnie here, Bonnie spins Tim Burton, spins away, goes and lands on Meryl Streep. Now, I was so bummed. We have that comedy laugh track. Why don't we have a freaking Meryl Streep soundbite? Somebody lands on Meryl Streep, you hit the button, Meryl Streep, Meryl Streep, Meryl Streep. It's like three, maybe just say it 3 times. Bam. Oh man, I missed it. It would have been so awesome. But yep, so she lands on Meryl Streep. 4 out of 8 points. She gets 2 questions right, 2 questions wrong. Problem is, she does not go to multiple choice on either of them. She gives up 4 points in steals. 4 points. Like, what were you thinking? I just my goodness. It's just her lack of knowledge about gameplay is what hurt her here, and it was hurting me on a personal level. Just like watching her play, it was one of the hardest matches that I've ever had to watch. And that Frank Moran and James White match was not a very good match. But at least the guys, they knew how to play the game. They were getting some rough questions for their own knowledge. Bonnie, on the other hand, she jumped at the second question. Maybe she really thought that she was right, but she wasn't. And then for the fourth question, she just ran out the clock instead of asking for multiple choice. And I've seen this back in the day. It's rare that you see it anymore. I've seen Matt Agity do this. I've seen Alonzo do this. Because they don't quite know the game that well. Like, they just answer questions. They don't necessarily care about the actual gameplay. And that's what we got here. We got her thinking, trying to get to it. And then the clock running out, and she's still going. She's like, wait, no, I got it. And no, it was done. And it hurt to watch. It really did. But, Marisol comes out ahead 17-10 after this round. I will say this. I really like that Marisol's not a cocky player. She got huge steals. 4 points in steals. And had a 7-point lead coming out of this. But she never mocked or poked at Bonnie. And I really like that. It's not like fucking Chandru fucking poking the bear against Smets. You know what I mean? She had respect. And I really, really liked that about her. All right, so we get into round number 3. Bonnie has to answer all of her questions, or Marisol wins it via TKO. That's just, unfortunately, when you're down that far, you have to go through all of your questions. Because in order to get 7 points, you have to get to your 5 and answer it. It's just the way it is. You have to either get your 2 and your 5 or 3 and your 5 in order to stay in the game, or all 3. She hits her 2, but then she misses her 3. Now, it's not devastating because she can still get her 5. And if she could get her 5, then she at least is still in it. And she pulls it out at the last second. And I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, holy shit. What just happened here? However, Marisol only had to get her 2-pointer. And she got that easily. Winning this match 19-17. Getting 2 points for corruption. Now, this is something, like, 17 points, I think, is the most that Bonnie's ever scored in a match. So she definitely has upped her game a bit. So I'm happy that she's at least done that. Her knowledge base has grown. She just needs to up her gameplay knowledge. Watch, I'd say watch season 6 and 7 matches for gameplay style. You know what I mean? Because it really got more intense during these, the actual gameplay. And that's where a lot of the rules that are there now are set, And so I really think that's what she has to do if she wants to come back in season 8, is to really study the game, not just the questions, not just trying to answer questions, but to actually study the game. But Marisol only missed 2 questions here total. That's pretty fantastic, I thought. Corruption takes first place with this win. This is incredible. They went from last place all the way up to first place, and that is something special, man. I could see, especially, think if they win this whole thing. Just think. If they win this whole thing, you got a last place team winning the whole year. That's a documentary right there, and I would totally like to see that, It'd be fantastic. Marisol will now enter the tournament and go face-to-face with one Paul Oyama. So that should be interesting. All right. So now it is time for the Schmoedown Throwdown. That's right. Shazam versus Final Exam, and Dan Murrell versus Ethan Erwin. It's going down, and it's going down right now. So first off, we had this match right here. Final Exam versus Shazam. Swag versus the Quirky Mercs. So, Swag gets another opportunity here to try to make up some ground after what happened earlier in the week. And so, even though the stats may not be representative of this, I think that Coy is still a great manager. Obviously, you look at someone like Winston Marshall, who's taken his team to the top. And he's a great manager. But people slack on Coy, I think. Coy, he brings something special to his managerial style, you know what I mean? And just because he's low on the list in the rankings doesn't mean he's a bad manager by any means. I think he's fantastic, and I hope that we get to see the Quirky Mercs really rise up in this whole faction standings. I really hope to see them get up there. Whether they'll be able to get to the top, I don't know, but I'd love to see them get into the top 5 even, just somewhere. Get up past that midpoint, I think it'd be nice. There were some pretty on point team entrances here, and I mean it's Shazam for crying out loud, so I wouldn't expect any less. It was great, and Lon's for Final Exam, Lon's character work is incredible, man, incredible. Him as the delinquent, I didn't like him really as the professor, but him as the delinquent. Yes, this is freaking gold right here, man. It's good stuff. I love it. All right, so we get into round number 1. A whole lot of shitty internet happening, particularly from Bibbs and Paul Oyama. A little bit from Lon, And we'll see later on a little bit from Brendan as well. But just shitty internet all around for this match. I don't know what the hell was going on with these guys. Um, so they kind of go through the match, and we get down to question number 8, which is the one I want to talk about real quick. And this is the one about the Minions movie. And it pretty much says something like, what's the name of the Despicable Me spinoff and prequel or something like that. It has all that in there. Um, and I think that gave way too much information, saying Despicable Me spinoff and prequel. Now, if you had said just what if it had just been like what film in the Despicable Me franchise, you know what I mean? Had because it was I think the question was what animated film they may have included the year include these 3 characters, and it was the name of the 3 the lead minions from Minions, and like I got it right away before they even got to the Despicable Me spinoff and prequel. There's literally only one Despicable Me spinoff slash prequel. That's it. They literally you didn't need what movie has these 3 characters. All you had to do was say name the Despicable Me spinoff slash prequel, and then if you don't get Minions, then I don't know what your problem is. Like I really don't. I don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Um, I think it was a giveaway, and I didn't like how it was written. Sorry to PJ and Abby Friel and whoever else is out there writing questions, but that one, way too much information, way too much information. Yeah, I was not a fan of that, but whatever. Bibbs gets a perfect round here and nails his bonus. And this is why I have put a lot of faith in that man over the last couple of years. So I have him going the distance in the singles tournament. So here's hoping, and I'll probably if Shazam winds up in the teams tournament, barring them not getting the titles when the time comes, I'll probably be rooting for them to go the whole way for that as well. So we end round 1 15-12 in favor of Shazam. Getting to round 2, Shazam defers, and final exam spins John Hughes movies and respins and lands on Sly and Arnie. They do pretty good here. They get 9 out of 12 points. It's pretty good. Technically, their last question's answer was okay. So this is going back to that whole Inner Geekdom match, the championship match, that whole challenge about the surrogates versus the surrogates. Final exam answers Last Stand for the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. The movie is called The Last Stand. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the fucking rule is because it's not fucking out there for me to see. You know what I'm saying? It could be that if it's got the followed by more than one word, so it's the last stand, so it got 2 words, that you don't need the word the, which personally I think is fucking stupid. You either need it or you fucking don't. You know what I mean? I hate it. It really this fucking rules bullshit pisses me off so goddamn much. I'm tired of it. We see one thing happen in the next fucking match. We see it essentially fucking contradicted. And I'm getting so tired of it. Luckily, it didn't fucking matter. But the big problem here is that with these virtual matches, Shazam can't challenge. Now, yes, technically, Koi can challenge. However, there's a reason why most of these people are managers. They're not great at the actual movie trivia part. Some of them are, like a Sam Levine, but a lot of them really aren't. They used to play and then they don't anymore. And there's a reason for that. And so the fact that Brendan and Bibbs are not there to be like, we might want to challenge that because the movie is called The Last Stand, not Last Stand. They can't because they don't get to hear any of that. So as far as they know, they just got the question right. And that's the one big thing that I dislike about the way the team, and I don't see any other way to do it. I mean, realistically, I don't think there is. So it's just me venting about it. It's just venting my frustration with this. So I don't need Christian fucking coming on here and be like, "We'll start your own fucking league." I don't need that. I'm not saying that you're doing it wrong. It's just that I don't. Well, I wish there was some other way to figure it out to do this. I don't know what else to do about it. If you guys have been having the same issue, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts right down there at Movie Blog Merc. Hashtag Talkin Schmoedown, TALKIN Schmoedown. Leave that G out. Get that G the fuck out of here. We don't need it. All right. So Shazam goes and they spin westerns, and they're like, nah, we're not feeling westerns. So they respin and land on Clint Eastwood, which, I mean, it's in that realm. You got some, but you got more than just westerns with Clint Eastwood. So I think it definitely narrows it down there for him. And they don't do quite as well as Final Exam, but they also had a decent lead, so it didn't necessarily matter as much. They got 8 out of 12 points, and the thing about their round, they were trying real hard to get that last question. They went to multiple choice, and then they used up their last 2 repeats on this. And I don't think it was a smart idea. Now, again, it didn't cost them the match not having these repeats. But it could have. You never know. They didn't get the question right anyway. So it'd be different if they wasted these repeats and then got it. But they didn't. And so I think that they should have just they knew it was between these 2, and they're going back and forth and really struggling to decide which one. And it's like, just fucking decide, pick one. And the other thing was Brendan kept I don't think he was being a dick by any means. I think it's just excitement. And that's his personality. He likes to jump in, but he was stepping over Bibbs, because at the beginning they made the statement that Bibbs would be the one giving the final answer, and there were a couple of times where Brendan would overstep and do it himself, and I'm just like, kid, you got to calm down a notch because that can hurt you in the long run, and we've seen it hurt him before, so we'll see. We get into round number 3. Paul ties it up with his 2-pointer. Then Bibbs takes dance movies. After some discussion, it seemed like Brendan just he wasn't confident in his own ability, and we've seen that before. He feels like he is less. He is not. He feels like Bibbs is superior to him. You know what I mean? And so he would rather lose 2 points than lose 3 points. Instead of that's the way he sees it. He sees it as, well, I'll probably miss it, so you just might as well just give the 2-pointer to me. But it's a good thing that they don't, because Bibbs gets his 2-pointer, and he says later on that he didn't know the 3, and I don't think that Brendan knew the 2. I'm pretty sure that they've mentioned that. So Bibbs does get the 2-pointer. And then Lon answers his 3, so it's just kind of bouncing back and forth. Finally comes back over to Brennan, and he hits that three. Like I said, he was shooting himself down so much that he just, I don't know, man. He's got to have more confidence in himself because he got it. He did not lose 3 points. He got it, man. He kept them up in the ranks, and actually, it getting that going that order wins them the game because they would because Bibb said he did not know it, and they would have lost that game. It's just the way it is. So he gets that three, and it forces Final Exam to go for their five. They get close, but they miss out on that five. Now I say that it would have lost them the game, and actually, because they still had a 5 pointer that they could have answered. You never know, but they may have lost the game if they had switched it around. But right here, like I said, Final Exam misses their five, so Shazam wins 29-27. 2 points here for the Mercs. Pushes them from last place up to sixth. That's a big win, man. 2 points shot them up to sixth place. That's pretty damn good, I have to say. I'm really excited to see the Mercs getting back up there, and I think we'll see some good stuff from them throughout these two tournaments. You could see, like I said earlier, that Christian getting so very aggravated with all of these internet issues. Like, this is like the first time that we've really had this much issue with internet stuff. So it was bad. But luckily for the next match, for the final match of the week, that was not the case. And that match is Dangerous Dan Murrell versus Big Time Ethan Erwin. This is match number 3, the rubber match. They're 1-1 against each other, and now it's time to find out who is the true champion between these two. And we do find out here in one fucking hell of a match. Okay, so we get into round 1. Dan stumbles early on, but he gets lucky at the end when Ethan misses in animation. So it ends 7-6 for Ethan in the lead. That's, hey man, sometimes it happens, but Dan got lucky. It could have been 9-6, and that's not where you'd want to be. So he got lucky here. He did. He definitely did. Ethan spins movie release dates in round 2, respins and lands on Spike Lee. Now, I'm assuming that they spun away from movie release dates because it's a tricky one. You got to really know your movie release dates to really dominate in that. You got to be a Scott Mans or a Ben Bateman. You really do. And here he did not do great. 4 out of 8 points. I had to go to multiple choice once. 2 misses here. Gave up. Luckily for him, Dan didn't get the 4th question, which would have been a 2-point steal. Luckily for him, but Dan did get a 1-point steal here. Now, there is one. I believe it was, and I don't like that the movie We Cut Heads was an option here. It's the question that that Ethan, or the answer that Ethan says, and that is because this was Spike Lee's NYU thesis film. This wasn't like a. I don't think that should even have been on that list. Like that, it came. It was his first film, but it was his NYU thesis film. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a trick question, and I think that's kind of fucked up. I mean, I'm calling PJ and Abby and whoever the fuck made this question out. I do not think that should have been in there. I think that if that had not been there, if he went for multiple choice, and because he heard that, he's like, well, We Cut Heads was his first movie. The fact that it's a fucking option, it shouldn't have been there. Like, you don't put fucking short films and shit like that. A fucking student film shouldn't be there either. I do not like that at all. And I'm calling you guys out on that one. I rarely call out the writers, but that's fucked up. It should not have happened. It should not have happened at all. And I would have fucking challenged that shit. Just saying. So Dan spins and lands on courtroom legal thrillers. Now I noticed something that they from the last time I remember this being on there. I want to say it was either the Dan versus Ethan match, or maybe it was the final exam versus the Pride match. I'm not 100% sure. With that, which one of the, I think it was one of those that had this category on the wheel, and the word legal was spelled wrong, and I pointed it out during the show. It was spelled Leagal, like they're starting to spell the word league, and then turned it into legal. But I noticed that they fixed the spelling here, and it's actually spelled correctly. So rock on. That made me happy to see. But he respun because that's a weird category. It's probably really broad. It's you have no idea what to expect from it. So, ooh. And landed on fantasy sci-fi. Does okay, not great. 5 out of 8 points here. 2 multiple choice, 1 miss. Gives up a 1 point steal. And because of all of this hoopla, they tie the game here. 12-12. These two just battling it out, man. Just killing it. Not doing like amazing when I say killing it. Not like doing amazing, but like just staying in tune with one another. These guys are elite players on the same level, and they're getting some tough questions here. So I actually am really liking that they're able to kind of stay head to head with this. So then we get into round 3, which is the betting round, because this being a title match is a 5-round match. So they spin the category of movie release dates, so they put their wagers in. Ethan wagers 1 point. I guess he was trying to be conservative here because it's movie release dates. You never know. Dan went with 2. Dan and Finstock had a little code. It's like, are you thinking January? And Dan was like, I'm thinking either April or May. And so, like, they assign, obviously, he chooses May. So, obviously, May was 2. And I don't know if April was 1 or 3, April, January, whichever one of them was 1 and which one was 3, but they had this cool little code, and they said that that's something that they're probably going to do, but that code will never be the same, that's awesome. I just thought it was fantastic. So the question for this was Top Gun was released in what year? Answer being 1986, and they both hit it. They're both like, oh shit, we should have bet more points. That was easy. So Dan finally takes the lead here, 14-13. He starts with a deficit, climbs his way up to tie, and now he's in the lead. So we get into round number 4, which is the new speed round. I think they call this the round robin speed round as opposed to the buzzer round. So Dan deferred because he had the option of going first. He deferred, so Ethan will go first. Ethan answered all 10 of his questions after passing once and got all 10 correct. This is, I believe, the very first time we've seen that. We've seen people get close, but this is the first time we've seen someone get all 10 questions and then get them all correct. It's just it shows you the level that we're working with here with Ethan Erwin. And it also shows just how much not having the buzz around takes away the champion advantage. You know what I mean? So Dan goes up and he answers 9 after passing 3 separate times. But he gets all 9 that he answered correct, so he didn't lose any points. 9 points right there, keeping this game tied again. Because leaving round 3, Dan was up. He finally got that lead. He was up by 1, but because Ethan got 1 point more during the speed round, they're back to a tie, 23-23. This game is just fucking incredible. It's incredible what they've done. It's just I couldn't believe how fantastic of a match this was. So we get into round 5. Ethan gets his 2 and his 3, but he misses his 5. And I have to say this on his last question. He never actually requested a JTE. He asked if he still had one, but he never said he wanted to use it. Though Christian did it, Christian used it anyways. He gave him the repeat instead of buzzing him out and saying, well, you didn't ask for the repeat and you didn't answer the question in time. So, bleh. I mean, it didn't matter. He didn't get it right anyways. But, like, I don't care if, if you're friends with this guy, if it's a championship match. All he did was say, do I have any? Or he either said, do I have any repeats left? Or how many repeats do I have left? Something along those lines. Christian told him, and he's like, and then he never said, okay, I want to use it. Never said that. So that kind of stuff bothers me. It's over time has bothered me more and more as pretty much every week we come across some sort of rule inconsistency, and it's become a bigger deal even with players. Like you hear on like backstage a lot now, they're talking about it, and so it bothers me more and more. And so I pretty much talk about it every week now because it keeps happening. And this is another kind of a thing where it's like he didn't ask for it, so he shouldn't have gotten one. Like you gave him a freebie essentially. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they counted it. They took it away from him, and it didn't matter because it was the last question anyways. But he shouldn't have gotten it at all. Shouldn't have mattered. He shouldn't have been given that opportunity to answer when he didn't ask for it. I'm just saying. So Dan then goes on and he also answers his 2 and 3, but misses his 5. So again, it's fucking tied. 28-28. These guys are just battling it out right here. And this shows you right here, every single point matters. If Ethan hadn't gotten that final question in round 1 incorrect, he would have won this game. If Ethan had bet 2 points in round 3, he would have won this game. If Dan had answered one of the 2 questions that he missed, or anything, because like they missed a chunk of questions in round 2, like a lot of points were given up. If something was just one single point was different on either side, we would have had a winner right here, and there would have been no sudden death. Right here. This is why I always say every single point matters. So we get into sudden death, man, and they go 5 rounds deep. They both answered the first question. Like they both get it correct. Then they go on to question number 2, and they both get it wrong. I was like, oh shit, they're getting them right and they're getting them wrong together. I was like, damn. So, and then we get to question number 5, and Dan hits it, and Ethan isn't able to pull it out, and Dan wins this match 32-31. I was like, holy fucking shit. I was like ripping my fucking hair out how intense this goddamn match was. It was insane. It was so insane. 3 points for the Finstock Exchange. Ties it up with Corruption. Now I'd have to go back and double check last week's faction standings. I'm not 100% sure, but I was under the impression that if you play in a title match, both sides get points. So I have to go back and double check, 'cause I'm honestly not sure. Did the Usual Suspects get that 1 point that they were supposed to? I don't know if that rule changed. Again, rules. I don't know. I don't know anywhere to find the draft faction, all this stuff, the set rules for the gameplay of season 7, for the faction gameplay of season 7. There needs to be that. So it's like, okay, these matches get these points. With TKOs, you get this amount of points. Like, I don't know where to find that. If there's someplace out there that has that information that's like written down in a nice space, it should be on the fucking website on the schmoedownlive.com. I don't know why it's fucking not, but it should be. But if you know someplace that has it, please drop that link in on my Twitter because I'd really like it, to be honest with you. Um, Maybe somebody like Repeat the Question has it. I don't know. They do real good shit on that website, so maybe they have it. I mean, you'll have to dig around their website and see if they have it. But if somebody knows, just drop it down in my Twitter, please, at MovieBlogMerc. You can use the hashtag Talkin Schmoedown. Yeah, honestly, you don't have to for that one. I'll get it anyways. I'll get the notification no matter what. So, but yeah, I need, man, I just need to frickin' know. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't understand why it's nowhere easily accessible. But whatever. Then Roca joined the stream after and confirmed that he is in the tournament. Last week he said he was about 90%. Well, I think it was on Schmoedown backstage. He said that he was about 90% sure that he was gonna be in the tournament. He was still deciding because of everything that happened with that Ethan match. You know, it really rocked him. But he came on. He said he is in 100%, and he will be facing off against a winner from this past week, Adam Collins, in their match. So that's gonna be some good stuff. So, and speaking of the tournament, now we can show the bracket. Here we are. We've got Adam Collins winning his match. We've got James White and Marisol McKee winning their matches. So they will all move on. So James White will face off against William Bibbiani. Sorry, James White, but I got Bibbiani going all the way. So you're out of here for me. Marisol will, like I said before, is going up against Paul Oyama. I think that could be a real interesting matchup. I think it'll be fairly even keeled. I'm actually pretty excited to see that. And then so with Ethan losing this match, Ethan will be in the tournament on the right side of the bracket, and that means that Roca will be on the right side of the bracket. So that puts Adam Collins facing off against John Roca. And because Dan won the title, that means that Sabrina Ramirez is now in the play-in match, and Jen Kemp is out of the tournament completely. So Sabrina will face off against Vinny Mancuso. That is tomorrow, Wednesday. And whoever wins that will then face off against Ethan Erwin. And I am sorry. To whichever of the two of you faces off against Ethan, I am sorry. But I'll say this. If you beat Ethan Erwin, that will be a major upset, and you will have some big clout right there just because of that. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so there you go. You can look at the bracket here. We got some good stuff coming up. I'm pretty excited for it. I hope you guys are too. I also want to take a look at the faction standings real quick. So down at the bottom, we got the Burning Droogs and the Usual Suspects. At the bottom, pretty much tied, both with 9 points. Then we got the Dungeon sitting at 11th. The Quirky Mercs, who moved their way up to 6th place, also with 11. The difference is they have one more win over the Dungeon, so they actually took that 6th place spot. Then we've got the Rock Stars with 12 points in number 5 in the 5th spot. Number 4 is the Den, sitting pretty with 17. But then we've got the top 3, who the difference between 3rd and 4th place is 14 points. It's huge, man. It's massive. So we got Swag sitting pretty with 31 points. Then we have Corruption and the Finstock Exchange right now, both with 32. I think the only reason that Finstock gets that number 1 spot is because they've got 2 more KOs. If you look, Corruption and Finstock Exchange both have 17 matches played. 11 wins, 6 losses. The only difference in stats here is the KOs. That's it. Just the KOs. So, this is a barn burner right here between these three. I am excited to see, how all of that kind of shakes out. It's getting wild. All right, so now if you thought this week was jam packed full of matches, 5 big matches, man, just wait until you see next week, or technically this week, the week we are in right now. It's what I'll be talking about next week, but right here, 7 matches this week. 2 have already dropped. We've got Lon Harris versus Sabina Graves, which was aired on Monday. Paul Preston versus Eric Zipper, which aired earlier today. So be sure to check both of those out right now on the YouTube channel. Then tomorrow on Wednesday, we've got 2 matches. We've got Vinny Mancuso versus Sabrina Ramirez, Jader Paramo versus Jim Vejvoda. And then on Thursday, Brendan Meyer versus Alonzo Duralde. So that's getting us right into round 1 of the tournament. We got the last play-in match on Wednesday, and we'll have had 4 round 1 matches throughout this week. And then on Friday, we've got another Schmoedown Throwdown. This time, it's an all-teams Schmoedown Throwdown. Starting off with Shazam versus Who's the Boss in a number 1 contender match for the team's title. And then capping everything off with a fantastic main event, the Founding Fathers versus Corruption for the titles. That's going to be some fantastic stuff. I mean, we get to see this right here. That's right. Founding Fathers versus Corruption. It's going to be awesome. And then whoever wins that undercard will face off against the champions. I'm not sure if that'll happen the week after next, because we have another big Schmoedown Throwdown happening next week. That's right. We've got Chris Jericho versus Kevin Smith. And speaking of Kevin Smith was on SEN Live earlier today being Tuesday, so be sure to check out SEN Live to see Kevin Smith on there. August 28th, Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho with the undercard of Guy versus Bateman 2, the rematch. Will the digital wheel screw Guy again? Well, the one thing that he can be safe in knowing is that he most likely won't get hit by a chair. But you never know. He is in his own house, and honestly, I think their best option here, if Guy loses, honestly, fuck it. I don't even care if Guy wins or loses. It doesn't, to me, doesn't fucking matter. Somebody needs to be off set, like off camera, with a chair, just waiting. And then whatever happens, they come in and just blast him with a chair. It would be awesome. Awesome. Have it fucking be Roka. Come on. How fucking great would that be? It'd be gold, man. Gold. It would be so good. And that match is actually a number 1 contenders match. So whoever wins that will go and face Dan Murrell for the title. Yeah, so that's going to be good stuff right there. And then the winner of the singles tournament will face whoever wins that. And then the last thing is, please be sure, if you're not a patron, go join Patreon and become a patron and check out the latest exhibition match, the 80s action comedies exhibition match with Kaiser and Tom Dagnino. That is right. So be sure to check that out. Thank you guys so much for joining me for episode number 53 of Talkin Schmoedown. It's been a blast chatting with you all and just kind of talking about all these matches. Next week's going to be crazy. I'm hoping I'll have a guest on next week to kind of talk about it all, because it's a lot. I'd like to have somebody here with me to talk about all that stuff. So be sure to hit me up on Twitter right here at Movie Blog Merc. Twitter and Instagram at Movieblog Merc, Facebook and YouTube at Merc with Movie Blog. Follow me on Anchor, anchor.fm/movieblog Merc. And you know what? If you are into DC Comics, be sure to check out DCComicsNews.com at DC Comics News on all the social medias. And I actually will be doing with DC Fandom coming up this Saturday, I will be doing a 24-hour live stream, essentially. It'll be broken up into parts because with StreamYard, you can only do I think it's like 4 hours at a time, at least with the version that I have. So I'll be doing it in chunks, but I will be live streaming throughout the entirety of the 24 hours. So I'll probably be tired. I'll probably be a little wired. So it's gonna be fucking awesome though. So if you're into that, check me out. It'll be on the DC Comics News Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can hit me up there and just watch along, ask questions, comments, anything. It'll be fantastic. It's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna have guests on. It's gonna be great. Yeah. So thank you again for being here with me, and I'm so excited to talk about the Schmoedown, and I'll see you guys next week. As I say every week, we have been talking Schmoedown. Catch you next time.